You know the name Pythagoras, the father of mathematics, the man who gave us the Pythagorean theorem. But what if the equation was just the surface, and the real mystery lies beneath the numbers? Because Pythagoras wasn't just a mathematician, he was an initiate into something far older, far deeper, a secret brotherhood. A living school of the soul, where geometry was sacred, where numbers were divine, and where the cosmos itself could be decoded. He spoke of the music of the spheres, celestial harmonies shaping reality. He taught that the soul is immortal, and that through initiation it could ascend. His school was not a classroom, it was a temple, and its teachings were not formulas, they were keys to higher dimensions. Where did this knowledge come from? Some say he studied in Egypt, others, Babylon. But whispers speak of something more ancient still. Atlantis, the cradle of the mystery schools. These teachings were so powerful, so transformative, that they were hidden, suppressed, nearly erased from the pages of history. Tonight, we recover what was lost. We enter the sanctum, the vault of forbidden wisdom, and we ask, what did Pythagoras really know? And why was the world never meant to find out? Part 1. The Mystery Schools. Gateways to Forbidden Knowledge. Long before universities, before organized religion, before science as we know it, there were the mystery schools, hidden behind temple walls, cloaked in secrecy and guarded by oaths. These schools were the gateways to forbidden knowledge, not for the curious, not for the ambitious, but only for the initiated. From the halls of the Temple of Thoth in ancient Egypt, to the sacred rites of Eleusis in Greece, to the druid groves of the Celts, each tradition shared one mission: to awaken the soul through divine knowledge. Their teachings were never written plainly. They were encoded in symbols, sacred geometry, numbers and rituals, passed down in silence, protected across generations. Why? Because this knowledge held the power to transform human consciousness. But who walked this path? Who carried the light through centuries of darkness? One name shines through the shadows: Pythagoras. He is remembered as a mathematician, but he was much more. A mystic, a philosopher, a guardian of ancient truths. According to legend, Pythagoras traveled to Egypt, Babylon, and even India. In Egypt alone, he spent over 2 decades inside the temples, studying the mysteries of sound, number, proportion, and cosmic law. There, under the guidance of high priests, he was initiated into knowledge far beyond numbers. He was being prepared to unlock the divine code behind creation itself. When he returned, he founded his own mystery school in Croton, Italy. A sanctuary where the worthy could learn not just how the world works, but how to transcend it. The secrets of the Pythagorean mystery school. Entrance into Pythagoras' school was not granted by wealth or fame. It required devotion, discipline, and inner transformation. First stage. Initiates swore an oath of silence for 5 years, learning to listen beyond the senses, to hear the hidden harmonics of the universe. Second stage. They studied sacred geometry, the mystical power of numbers, and the music of the spheres, a teaching that the cosmos itself is built upon divine sound. Final stage, through ritual, meditation, and deep inner work, initiates transcended ego and awakened the soul's memory of its true origin. But this knowledge was not meant for the masses. Pythagoras knew what empowers also threatens. The forbidden truth. His teachings revealed truths that undermined the control of kings, priests, and empires. He taught that the soul is eternal, that the universe is conscious, that we, as human beings, are co-creators of reality. And that was too dangerous to be allowed. His school was attacked, his followers hunted, his teachings banned, erased, and nearly forgotten. But only nearly, because hidden in symbols, in sound, in sacred proportion, the wisdom survives. And now, after centuries of silence, it calls once again. The real question is, are you ready to remember? Part 2. Pythagoras' Sacred Science. Numbers as the language of the universe. To the modern world, Pythagoras is a name tied to triangles and equations, but to the ancient initiates, he was something far more profound. A mystic, a philosopher, a master of sacred science. He believed that the universe was not random, not chaotic, but deeply ordered, structured, built on divine mathematics. To Pythagoras, numbers were not just tools, they were archetypes, forces of nature, living symbols that shaped everything from the stars in the sky to the rhythm of your breath. His most radical idea, that reality is mathematical. Every form, every sound, every thought follows a pattern, and those patterns are written in number. The tetractys, a divine blueprint. At the heart of his teachings stood a sacred symbol, the tetractys. 10 points arranged in a perfect triangle. To the untrained eye, simple geometry. But to Pythagoras, it was a map of the cosmos. Each row of the tetractys represented a layer of reality. 1, the monad, pure unity, the divine source. 2, the dyad, duality, light and dark, male and female, creation and destruction. 3, the triad, harmony and balance, the first expression of stability. 4, the tetrad, the material world, earth, air, fire, and water. Together, these numbers formed more than a structure. They created a philosophy, a code, a bridge between the visible and the invisible, a divine code hiding in plain sight. Could it even be an ancient precursor to quantum theory, a mystical understanding that everything, matter, energy, thought, is encoded in vibration and proportion? The music of the spheres, sound as creation. Pythagoras took this idea further. He discovered that musical intervals were based on simple numerical ratios, octaves, fifths, harmonies, mathematics, in motion. He believed that the entire cosmos vibrated with sound, that the planets themselves sang in frequencies beyond human hearing. He called this the music of the spheres, and to him this wasn't just poetic, it was literal. Everything, your body, your mind, your soul, was vibrating, and by attuning to certain frequencies, you could elevate consciousness, return to harmony, awaken the divine. Today, science confirms what he intuited, that all matter is energy, that frequency shapes form, and that sound can heal. Numbers as living forces. Pythagoras taught that each number had spiritual power. 1, the source. 2, the mirror. 3, the balance. 4, the foundation of physical existence. He believed that to understand numbers was to understand the blueprint of reality itself. Why was this knowledge hidden? Because it was liberating. If numbers could decode the cosmos, then truth was not something granted by temples or rulers. It was something you could discover within yourself. To the powers of his time, this was heresy. His school was attacked, his teachings suppressed, but they were never destroyed. They were encoded, preserved, waiting. Now they begin to re-emerge. In geometry, in sound, in symbol. And if Pythagoras was right, then buried within this ancient science lies the key to something far greater, the awakening of the human soul. Are you ready to remember the language of the universe? Part 3. Sound, frequency, and the music of the spheres. You've heard it before, the music of the spheres. But what if it's not just philosophy? What if the universe was never silent? What if every star, every atom, every cell in your body was singing? Not with melody, but with vibration, with frequency, with cosmic resonance. Pythagoras believed this wasn't just poetic, it was real. He taught that sound is not merely heard, it is the architecture of existence, a hidden harmony that shapes all things. The music of the spheres, the universe's symphony. According to Pythagoras, the planets themselves produce sound. As they move through the heavens, they generate frequencies, subtle vibrations that form a divine harmonic structure. He called this the music of the spheres. We can't hear it with our ears, but the soul remembers. To him, the universe was not chaos. It was a song, precise, ordered, and divine. Each celestial body contributing to a grand cosmic chord. His initiates studied this secret music, mapping harmonic ratios, measuring tone, decoding the way sound mirrors number, and number reflects truth. Ancient cultures and the power of sound. Pythagoras wasn't alone in this revelation. Across ancient civilizations, sound was revered as sacred force. Egyptian priests used chants to activate the energy fields of temples. Hindu mantras were tuned to the chakras, vibrational centers of human consciousness. Tibetan monks entered trance states through deep harmonic overtone chanting. The Great Pyramid of Giza may have been engineered to amplify acoustic resonance, an ancient sound chamber of initiation. The ancients understood what science is just now rediscovering. Sound doesn't just affect emotion, it shapes matter. 432 Hertz, the divine frequency. Among the frequencies studied by mystics, one stands out. 432 Hertz, the so-called natural tuning of the universe. Unlike the modern standard of 440 Hertz, 432 Hertz resonates with the vibrational patterns found in nature, the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, the pulse of the planet. Music tuned to 432 Hertz is said to calm the nervous system, synchronize brain hemispheres, and elevate the spirit. Was this the tuning used in ancient instruments, in Gregorian chants, in Pythagorean temples? If so, then sound was not merely music, it was medicine, it was initiation, it was technology. Cymatics, consciousness, and the science of vibration. Today, cymatics, the study of sound made visible, shows that frequency creates geometric patterns in matter. Sanskrit symbols, mandalas, even the flower of life, all appear when sound waves vibrate through sand, water, and light. Quantum physics now tells us everything is vibration, and frequency determines form. Some researchers even propose that specific frequencies can influence DNA, enhance healing, and unlock higher states of perception. Could it be That sound was once a lost technology, used to build temples, shift consciousness, and tap into multidimensional awareness. The forgotten power of sound. Pythagoras saw what few dared to imagine. That sound is not entertainment, it is revelation, a language older than words, a force capable of lifting the soul or shaping reality itself. So now the question is not, can we hear the music of the spheres, but rather, are we finally ready to remember its tune? Part 4. The suppression of Pythagorean wisdom. Throughout history, knowledge has always been power, but when knowledge empowers the soul, it becomes a threat to those who rule through fear. Pythagoras was not simply a mathematician, he was a revolutionary mystic, a master of sacred science, and a teacher of divine order. His school didn't just teach formulas, it taught liberation. Liberation of the mind, liberation of the soul, and that made him dangerous. The war against forbidden knowledge. To the powers of his time, Pythagoras' teachings were heresy. He dared to say that truth is within you, not held by temples, priests, or kings. He taught that reality is mathematical, that sound and vibration shape the universe, that the soul is eternal and reincarnates through lifetimes. His vision? A society guided by wisdom, harmony, and higher consciousness. But those in power thrived on ignorance, control, and division. His students weren't just scholars, they were initiates, guardians of a truth that could set humanity free. And that truth had to be silenced. The destruction of the Pythagorean school. One night, that silence was forced. The school at Croton burned to the ground. His followers hunted, persecuted, and killed. His sacred teachings, once passed through oral tradition, were erased, fragmented, buried. Pythagoras himself, according to legend, escaped into exile and spent his final years in silence. But silence is not absence. The hidden legacy. Pythagorean wisdom did not die. It went underground, disguised, encrypted, protected. It resurfaced in the mystery schools, in the Freemasons, in the esoteric orders of Europe. The Rosicrucians preserved his knowledge through sacred numerology and vibrational healing. Leonardo da Vinci encoded his principles into art. The great cathedrals echoed with the mathematics of the divine. The flame flickered, but it never went out. What are they still hiding? Some believe that ancient Pythagorean texts still survive, locked within the Vatican, hidden beneath layers of secrecy. If so, what truths lie hidden? What if the real secrets of sacred geometry, cosmic harmonics, and human potential were never lost, but deliberately concealed? Not to protect the masses, but to keep them asleep. The most dangerous knowledge is not the one that enslaves, but the one that sets you free. And so we ask, if Pythagoras was silenced, what else has been buried with him? Because the truth hasn't vanished. It's been hidden in plain sight, coded in temples, songs, and stars, waiting for those with the eyes to see. Are you ready to remember? Part 5. How to apply Pythagorean knowledge today. To Pythagoras, numbers were not just for calculation. They were divine keys, codes that unlocked the hidden design of the cosmos. He taught that reality was not chaos, but a harmonious pattern, a great cosmic order built on sound, vibration, and geometry. He believed that by aligning with these laws, the soul could rise above illusion and awaken to its true nature. But the question is, how do we apply this ancient wisdom today? Sound and frequency, healing through vibration. Pythagoras discovered that sound is more than music, it's medicine. He taught that everything vibrates at its own frequency, and that certain tones could heal the body, elevate the spirit, and realign the soul. Modern science is catching up. 432 Hz, the divine tuning used in ancient instruments and architecture, believed to align with the Earth's natural frequency. 528 Hz, known as the love frequency, linked to DNA repair and heart-centered awareness. Theta waves, 4 to 7 Hz, found in deep meditation and trance states, exactly the states Pythagorean initiates used to access higher knowledge. Is it possible that frequency is the forgotten key to both consciousness and healing? Numerology, the code beneath reality. To Pythagoras, numbers weren't just values, they were archetypes. Each number represented a universal principle that shaped the structure of the soul and the cosmos. 1, the monad, the origin, the source. 3, the Trinity, balance and harmony. 7, the sacred number of spiritual awakening. Today, numerology is used to explore life paths, personality traits, and synchronicities. But what if it's more than symbolic? What if numbers are the original language of creation, and through them, we can read the code of our own destiny? Sacred geometry, aligning with the divine blueprint. In the Pythagorean worldview, geometry is spiritual architecture. The golden ratio, 1.618, the Fibonacci sequence, and the tetractys weren't just mathematical curiosities, they were reflections of divine order. These patterns appear in the spiral arms of galaxies, the design of flowers and seashells, the proportions of the human body, ancient temples, and sacred art. When we apply sacred geometry in architecture, design, or meditation, we tune ourselves to the fundamental rhythm of the universe. The wisdom was never lost, it was hidden. For centuries, this knowledge was guarded, feared, suppressed, but it was never destroyed. It was encrypted in symbols, encoded in temples, whispered in mystery schools, waiting to be rediscovered. And now, it's returning. Because the truth is, this knowledge isn't just ancient, it's timeless, and it's already inside you. The question was never, are you worthy? The real question is, are you ready to remember? The next step on the path of the initiate. Pythagoras' teachings were just the beginning, fragments of a greater wisdom, one that may trace back to a lost world, Atlantis. Were its mystery schools the true source of sacred knowledge? And if it fell, did its wisdom vanish or go underground? The journey now leads us deeper, to a book feared, misunderstood, and rarely read with open eyes. The Book of Revelation. But what if it's not about the end, but a hidden path to awakening?